You're listening to Coach Mike on the mic. Let's talk hoops. A podcast that brings hoop fans together and their stories to life. Coach Michael Herrera is a Texas high school basketball coach with 3 state Final Four appearances and a lifelong fan of the game. He'll sit down with coaches, players, and fans to share stories, game perspectives, X's and O's, and lessons learned along the way. Now, let's talk hoops.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, Keenan, so the next question I have for you here, bud, is, we've talked a lot about, where your basketball journey, where you came from, middle school hoops to freshman hoops, being small, being slow, being undersized. But, one thing that I always knew about you, though, Keenan, even from your freshman year, is that we always knew you had something in you because we knew you knew the game because you were a smart kid on the court. You just couldn't always perform what you were thinking in your head, all right? But what I want to know from you, Keenan, is what do you think the key to overcoming all of that adversity was and that criticism, right? Because essentially I criticized you. I said you weren't good enough or you weren't ready. When you take all of that now, what do you think the key was for you to overcoming all of that?
Really just believing in something that you can't see is like faith. It's literally the definition of faith. And, having a vision that you can actually do something and just believing, no matter how grim it seems, like in the moment, when you don't see the result, you just keep working and relying on that faith. And that's really what I did. It's just, there's some, like, you get that feeling when there's something that you believe in and there's something that you think that you can achieve, it's going to keep you going. And that's really what I did. And
I think, sometimes we talk about faith. Faith is something that I'm actually going to touch on in a little bit. But what I'm hearing you say, though, is it wasn't faith alone. It was the conviction part. You were convicted that there was something that you were trying to achieve. And how you got there was by being faithful to yourself, to the game, and whatnot. Was there any kind of like pep talks, dad talks, coaches talks, people that, that just kind of got in your ear and kind of pumped you up? Did you read books? Did you read the Bible? Like what was it about you? Or was it just all mental for you?
It was a lot mental. My dad, we had our conversations. It's kind of not ridiculous, but music. My favorite rap artist, J. Cole, he has a mixtape called The Warm Up, and there's a song, The Last Call, on his mixtape, and I would listen to that over and over and over and over again. It kind of speaks to the exact situation I was in, and even like other like verses and lyrics in his music kind of spoke to my situation. I cling to him for sure. But yeah, it really is a lot mental, just mental drive.
Well, good, man. I tell you what, man, I'm so proud of you for all of that because, for me as a coach, like I've already told you before, man, I get to use this story. You are, and we've texted before and you've come back and you've visited and stuff. And I think your story is so impactful for our athletes to hear. And whether I'm here at Steele or somewhere else, I will always talk about that journey of yours. But let's fast forward a little bit. So then you went and played at Shriner. Talk about maybe the injuries, going off to college and living in a different environment. What was that college basketball for you like after that, after leaving Steele High School?
So college basketball was interesting. I went D3 straight out of high school, and everybody wants to go D1, but people don't realize how much to even get to play at the next level is a great honor. Like I don't know the exact numbers, but you always hear about like the 3% maybe go to play college, 1% maybe go to play D1, and then less than 1% play pro. and just being a part of that, like 2 to 3% that got to play at the next level after high school was, a blessing. And freshman year, I go there. I'm thinking like, I'm gonna go 2 years, ball out and transfer. But God had other plans for me, no doubt. So freshman year, I mean, I had a bunch of nagging injuries. Um, I missed like the first 6 or 7 games. Then I got into the rotation, and I was all right. And I averaged 7 points a game. I was like the sixth man on the team. Nothing spectacular. So that wasn't a good start to my transfer route. So then the second year, I'm coming into like a leadership role, and I'm like bound to have a good year. And like a week before the first game, or a couple weeks before the first game, I tear my meniscus and had surgery, and I was out for the season. So that was interesting. And now, and I'm in college, and I'm out for the whole season. I have an extra year eligibility. I don't know how this is gonna become useful in the next future, but junior year, I rehab, had plenty of time to just be comfortable and not rush the process because I had the whole summer. In D3, you don't have summer workouts. So I got a lot of time to really just reconnect with my body, get back in shape. And junior year came in strong, and we had a really good season as a team. And I had a decent individual year. I got first team all conference, and we won our regular season championship. And then senior year, I blew up. I had a really, really successful individual year and team. We won our regular season conference. We won the tournament, went to the national tournament. And I had a really good individual season. And I think I got All-American. I was at third team All-American, academic All-American. It was a good journey. Like every single year, I just kept improving. Like freshman year, I averaged 7 points a game. Junior year was sophomore eligibility, 14, and then senior year is like 22 points a game. It's just really a lot of improvement. It was tough though, because also I'm working on, like, I thought basketball was over after my senior year at Shriner. So I'm also like really diving into my education. I was working in the summer as a physical therapy technician, and I applied to a bunch of PT schools as a senior, and really balancing all that it's like second nature to me. But looking back on it, like it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work for sure.
I'll tell you what, man, and we had conversations. I recall you calling me, and you wanted to ask me about physical therapy school and all that kind of stuff too. So I remember those conversations, and then and we'll talk about where you are now. But I didn't have this question down, but just talk to me a little bit about once you were named. Now you said that you were named first team all conference. That was your junior year.
Conference, junior and senior year, yeah.
Junior and senior year. What was that like? Now, actually, so senior year though, were you the conference MVP?
Yeah, I was player of the year.
So talk about that, man. To go, I mean, again, like the story gets better with you because you go from a freshman being on the B team to a D3 conference player of the year. Like, what was it like to get that award?
It was a big honor. Like, really, everything came like full circle, from the beginning of high school, and then literally just the progression year by year by year by year by year, it just kept going up. And it's just a testament to the work ethic, and just being blessed with the opportunity to play basketball. And I love the game, and I just kept going year by year, and things fell in place. It's just really it's a blessing to be recognized for that.
It's that validity, piece that when someone recognizes the work, it kind of edifies you in what you've been trying to do, ever since you were, in middle school, hooping as a little kid. So, all right. So you play there at Shriner, man. You've got 1 year of eligibility, and I see you wearing and representing your Liberty University hoodie or jacket or whatever you got on there, man. So,
Yeah.
how did that happen, man? So, like, you go from playing D3 to playing in the national D3 tournament and all that kind of stuff, and I guess at some point they started calling your name, or someone heard about Kennan Gumbs. So, kind of talk to me about that, and then kind of take us through your story there at Liberty.
So I trained my summers. I trained in Austin with Ball Hard B-Ball with Sean Hardiman. I've been with him since 2012, like back when I was. He was also a big part of me improving my game in that time frame. And one summer, it was like the summer before senior year at Shriner. I was working out there, just late night in the summer, and it was crazy. I would drive. I mean, I'd wake up like 5 a.m. I'd work PT as a physical therapy tech, and then at night I would drive an hour to Austin and work out there for 2-3 hours and drive back home for like another hour at like 11 p.m. Sometimes get home at midnight. So that was what my grind was like. And one day I was there, and there was this random dude in there just watching us work out. And afterwards, after the workout was finished, he came to me, just kind of sparked up a conversation. And he was a junior college coach, but he also works for a brand called JUCO Advocates. And they kind of help people get their name out of, especially junior college, and transfer out. But they help all levels, no matter what. And we built a relationship. He kept up with me throughout my senior year. And about a week after the season ended, he called me and kind of told me about his brand and said, I can have all these things done for you, and we'll see where it goes. And he said, I'm connected all across the country, yada, yada, yada. And I kind of thought he was just blowing smoke at first and just, hyping himself up. But he said, I'll make you a highlight tape tomorrow, and I'll put it on YouTube the next day. So boom, he did that, put a 5-minute highlight tape on YouTube the next day. And he said, all right, I'm going to start sending out all your information to these coaches, and we'll see what happens. So within 5 days, my phone was blowing up. Like, I think I had 12 total Division I schools call me. When the Final Four was in San Antonio, there's a big coaches convention at every Final Four. So all the coaches were in San Antonio, and Kerrville's about an hour from San Antonio where Shriner's at. And I had Youngstown State come visit me at Shriner, like from Ohio, and Cal State Bakersfield came to little old Kerrville to come, meet me and try to get me on board. But Liberty stood out from the rest of every other school that was calling me. And I also had prior knowledge of them from a AAU teammate, AC Reed. And they just, the conversations with the coach definitely stood out. They appealed to me more as a university. Like, they had what I wanted to do in the master's program. They had a good team, and I had an opportunity to come in right away and play. So I took a visit there, and within a couple hours, I knew it. Like, I didn't need to go anywhere else. Coach McKay offered me on the second day of the visit, and I committed on spot. It was a no-brainer for me.
So what they do, man? They put you on the jumbotron and put you in a jersey and start taking pictures and letting you flex, or what, man?
Nah. It's just they took me around kind of the whole experience of the school, played with the guys, and Caleb Holmesley, one of my best friends now, he was the host on my visit, and we were hanging out for the most part the whole time, watching him do homework. He had to do a whole bunch of homework, but it was still cool to hang out with him and get to know him, and we built a relationship, and it was a no-brainer. Like, you could just feel it. It was the easiest decision I've made in my entire life.
And how'd that season go for you, man? And kind of talk to us a little bit about, you obviously were only there for a year. So what happened in that year that you want to share?
So the season was challenging individually. I came in and I was starting. Coming from D3 to a winning D1 program, and I'm in the starting five. So the first half of the year I was starting, and I started off the year playing really well, but kind of around December I started to fall off a little bit. I had I was doing master's program, had some things off the court that I was dealing with, and I just kind of like went up and down. Like, any season, you fluctuate, you go through droughts. So I ended up started coming off the bench the second half of the year in the conference. But you can't complain when the team is winning. Like, even when I was starting, we were winning. But when I started coming off the bench, our team just hit a new gear. And Caleb took my starting spot, and he just blew up. He like really came into his own and was the leader of our team in the second half of the year and this past year. And we I think we were 29-6, 29-7. We won our conference, won the regular season, won the tournament, went to March Madness. So just thinking about this, like, playing D3, I'm playing in front of like 30 people sometimes. And then I'm on literally the world's biggest stage in March Madness. And it's just another game. Like, I remember my coach Kirkendall, he flew out to the game in San Jose, California. And that was awesome. That was an awesome moment for me because his investment in me it meant the world, because he was my coach for 4 years at Shriner, and he helped me, transfer to Liberty. I told him the year before the season year started, I said, I don't plan on coming here with this extra year of eligibility. I was like, could you help me, get to the next level? And he just supported me 100%. So seeing him at that game meant the world to me. And I remember he asked me like how does it feel, playing from D3 and now you're playing in March Madness. And I'm like, it was no big deal. It's just like, once you get on that court, it's literally just the 94 feet and it's just regular. But to think about that and look back on that was crazy. We won a game too, 12-5 upset versus Mississippi State, and almost won versus Virginia Tech, lost by like 7. Would have went to the Sweet 16 and played Duke with Zion, but some reason God didn't let that one happen. I wish he did though.
Hey, I had y'all going to the Sweet 16 in my bracket, so but
Man.
Not like many people picked Liberty, man. I'll let you know right now. I picked Liberty for sure for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But that was fun. I hope I still have it, man. There's a picture of you at the end of that game in the first round when you guys upset them, and you had 2 of your teammates around, like you were holding their necks, congratulating each other. And if you have a picture of that, I know I posted a picture of it, I think, on the Steel Hoops Twitter page or something like that. But that was what an awesome picture, man. What an awesome basketball journey and story you've had. And I just want to say again, man, I'm super proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Okay, so you mentioned now you're in Sweden, right? So you're playing professional ball. What's the name of the team you're playing for, and kind of what's your experience so far with them?
So I'm playing for a Nässjö Basket. Is really I don't know how they get that. It's spelled Nassjo, but it's pronounced Nässjö. So I'm in the top league in Sweden. I've been here for I think 3 weeks now, and just getting acclimated with the team, and hopefully we're gonna have a successful season. It's weird with COVID in Sweden. They're not like the rest of the world. I haven't seen a mask since I've been here. Not one person with a mask since I've been here. But I mean, people aren't sick, and maybe they are sick, but we just don't know. But it's been like normal life out here. So it's refreshing, but it's also like, it's just like, should we be doing this or not? So it's been interesting, and I'm excited for how the rest of the season pans out.
When does your season officially start?
First official game is October 20th.
All right, man. So we're about a month away, man.
Yeah.
You'll have to let me know for sure if there's a live streaming or if there's replays or something like that, so I can watch you play, man.
Yeah, there'll definitely be streams every
Okay.
time.
Good deal. So let me know, like, as a basketball coach, there's more to the game of basketball than drawing up plays and having practices and, going to playoffs or NCAA tournaments and all that kind of stuff, right? There's the relationship piece. So my question to you is there a moment in time in your basketball career, from any moment from, early childhood to where you are now, where you experienced that coaches really cared about you outside of the game of basketball?
The one that highlights for sure is at Liberty
Okay.
with Coach McKay. Coach McKay, I can call him up right now and we'll talk for a long time. And he's invested in me. And that's another thing that stood out about the school. Like, he's invested in who you are as a person and trusting, outside of basketball, he's going to have his way as a coach, but, he also loves you off the court, and he's invested in your growth as a Christian man, as just, a child, a young growing up man, and everything. I don't know how to put it into words, but he's a great mentor to me. And like I said, I can call him up right now and he can, speak life to me. And he's taught me a lot. Man, he's a great leader. I'm stumbling on my words right now, but definitely Coach McKay at Liberty. He stands out from any coach. Sorry to you, but I've ever had. And he's amazing. He's amazing.
That's good, man. I tell you what. So I'll have to hit you up later, and you can get him on this podcast too at some point before the season starts.
Yeah.
But so you mentioned something about Christian man, and this is also another story that I don't know if you actually remember, man. But thinking of it was back in Kerrville, and we were at a tournament, and we were going to CC's Pizza after one of the games. You remember we used to go there during that tournament, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this, man. But we got off the bus. Usually for tournaments, I would always drive the bus, right? And got out, went and talked to the people, whatever. And I'm holding the door, and all you guys are filing in. Everyone's trying to fight over that first spot, right? So they can get their food and they can hurry up and eat, right? But you're the last person in line. Everybody else is inside. It's cold outside, and I'm holding the door open, and you're right there. And you look at me with a straight face, man. And you're like, you looked at me like, Coach Herrera, hey, how come you never cuss, man? Do you remember saying that?
I do not remember.
It's okay. But that had an impact on me as a coach, and little things like that happen. It opened the door for me as a coach to have a conversation with you. And I'm just curious, man. Like, I know you don't remember that. I vividly do, and I've actually written about it. I do a coach's Bible study here on campus for about the last 5 years or so. And I actually wrote, because they always ask for coaches' stories to put in their Bible study books. And I actually wrote that story, and they actually published it and put it in one of the Bible studies about the interaction that I had with you. And I'm just curious to know, although you don't remember that interaction, why do you think you asked that question?
Ephesians 4:26,
4:29.
4:29?
Yeah.
You got me. So definitely, I mean, it's hard. It's definitely hard with, dealing with young kids, having a patience level, having the way other people perceive you, how you handle situations. I was definitely interested in that, and as a coach and basketball, because that's one thing that happened to me. I don't know it was a good thing, but when I got cut, and then when I got that different sort of anger in me, during that time, like really trying to prove myself in high school, that's one thing that I did on the basketball court. I cussed a lot, and like I don't know, it's not like a positive thing, but it was part of the anger that came up out of me, and I for sure was interested in you and like how you handle that with emotions and going up and down and being a leader.
Well, I hope in that instance, and I don't know if you knew about Ephesians 4:29 before our conversation, but the fact that you
Mm-hmm.
just kind of spewed it out right now, I'm
Yeah.
hoping maybe I had some kind of influence on that, or you picked it up later in life. But for me, it was back, and I know this podcast is not about me, it's about you, but I've always held dear to that story because I actually have a tattoo on my back, and it has Ephesians 4:29 on there because it's something that I imprinted on me back in 2005 because
Mm-hmm.
growing up as a basketball player and being around coaches and stuff that would cuss all the time, it was just
Yeah.
part of my language too growing up as a kid. And it wasn't until 2005 when I got married, you start realizing things and things are in perspective, and you're a young man now, and I'm married, I'm a husband, and it just wasn't a part of my life. And so I had that tattoo since then. And so like to have someone like you, whom you and I, just from coach and player, have been through so much at that point, because that was your senior year, from a guy who was on our freshman team on the B team, a guy who I put on my practice squad, because at that time, that's when I moved up to being an assistant coach instead of a freshman coach. And then to have you on our first state, Final Four team, like we had been through so much. For you to actually ask me that question, man, I was like, man, this is awesome. And as I'm holding the door open for you, you opened the door for me essentially to be able to kind of talk to you a little bit about something outside the game of basketball. So I was just curious, man. I know it's kind of random, but that's always stuck
Yeah.
with me for all these years. So, all right. So, all right, let's fast forward a little bit. At some point in life, basketball will stop bouncing for you. And so whenever that day comes, hopefully a lot later than now, what's kind of your plan? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve after the game of basketball is ending for you?
So at first, I wanted to do physical therapy, as that's what I was looking at prior to Liberty. And I worked in a clinical setting and in a hospital setting for 2.5 years, and that was kind of my early thought of what I wanted to do. But as I got to Liberty, and even like going through physical therapy applications, my heart wasn't there at all. And it was something that I know I could succeed at if I put my mind to it. But even after my working experience, I'm like, this is something I can do. This is kind of what I went to school for, and it's what I'm set up for. But that wasn't really where my heart was. And going to Liberty helped me find another avenue with strength conditioning. And I feel like that was more of where I thrive as a person and as a professional. So I got my master's in human performance, and that helped me, prepare with extra studying on the side for the CSCS through the NSCA, Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist. So I got my master's in a year, and studied for that for about 2.5 months afterwards. There's a lot of stuff, that I learned throughout my college years. So it wasn't too much extra studying that I need to do, but more just like refining my knowledge. And then I took the test like 2 days before I left for Austria, and got the pass. And so now I'm certified as a strength conditioning coach. So I feel like something along those lines is what I want to do. Whether that's working with, college teams, or like having a private sector and kind of my own business. Definitely want to be working with high level athletes. I don't know if I could do your job with high schoolers or anything like that, but definitely college and above, pros for sure, and strength conditioning. I think that's where I'll be.
Well, I tell you what, man, I don't know if it's ever going to happen, man, but don't close the door on coaching basketball, because
Yeah.
and you know what, coaching high school sports, I talk about this a lot, but if I can go back in time, I would done things a little bit differently, and I would have tried to get my foot in the door with coaching college back when I was single, not married, and could afford to be an assistant coach at the collegiate level, because I would probably
Yeah.
get a pay cut in half from being a high school teacher and coach to becoming a college coach. But
Yeah.
man, if the opportunity ever happens, man, just all you gotta do is pick up the phone and call me, man, because I'll hire you in a heartbeat. But anyway.
But then I got to teach, in Texas, I got to teach a class. Like, I don't know what I'm going to teach.
All right, my next question for you, Keenan, is what piece of advice would you give to a basketball player out there trying to get to where you are today? What would you tell them? What would you tell the kid that's been cut or didn't make varsity when they thought they should have? Kind of like basically like your story, right? Not exact story, but what would you tell that kid today?
Follow what you see, like what you believe in. It's all about want to for me. Does your work ethic align with what you say you want? And
amen to that.
Yeah, for real. So if your work ethic doesn't align with what you say you want, then is that really something you want to pursue, or are you just trying to follow what you may get affirmation from other people for being a basketball player? And that's hard to know when you're a high schooler. Like, people don't even know what they want to do when they're like 30 sometimes. So I would really just tell people to really kind of just self-reflect and see what really do you want with your aspirations or your future. And when you have your mindset on maybe a couple things, then really just pursue them and go all out for them.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I love reading books, and I can't remember who said it or what book I read it from, but maybe Alan Stein or something like that. But you can't have NBA dreams with a JV mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or a JV work ethic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you hit it right there, spot on, and I really do like what you just said, because that is the truth. But I guess to take it a step further, Keenan, sometimes people follow their dreams, right? And they have dreams that they want to do it, and they want to overcome, and they want to fight through adversity. But sometimes, from a coach's standpoint, like, a thought will die off, right? So, like, you actually have to, and you mentioned it, you actually have to go do something. You have to have the work ethic. What do kids need to do, though, to get there? Because kids can't just think about achieving their dreams. They have to actually go do something about it, right? So when you say work ethic, what does that mean to you in terms of basketball? What are the steps? What are the things that these kids need to be doing to get there, past the thought of getting there?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to help you out. So, like, you mentioned it, right? Yeah. You went into the gym and you did 50 swishes or whatever, right? Like, that's a concrete thing, right? So what other things do kids need to be doing to make sure that they get, to their dreams coming true?
Really asking for help. I think that's a big thing. I was fortunate enough to have some good people in my corner that helped me, propel. Not everybody has those opportunities, and people that invest in you like that. So if you can ask for help, get uncomfortable asking people, about gyms, trainers. And a lot of times you don't even really need a trainer. Like, there's a lot of stuff really on YouTube that you can just dive into and just kind of create your own method. Like I did, like you just said with the 50 switches. Like, that's not something that is a concrete thing that you need to do, but it's something that I, out of my own head, was creative with, and I felt like it worked for me. So I stuck with it, and just doing things like that, ask for help, seeing if you have people invest in you and help you get to the next level, being creative on your own with things like going to the park and literally just envisioning yourself doing things. I still do that to this day. I'm 23 years old. I'm playing professional basketball, but you give me a ball and just give me, a basket, and I'll create situations and just have fun and like I'm a kid again. So that's what two things I would say: be creative on your own, ask for help, and keep pursuing.
Very good, man. I like that for sure. So as we kind of wrap things up here, what is maybe your biggest moment or experience at each level of playing basketball? So, biggest moment in high school, biggest moment in college, and now biggest moment professionally. Like a highlight.
High school, definitely making the state. That run, especially when, like I talked about earlier, when I didn't have to play in the playoffs, and I just got to be a cheerleader. That was fun. That was a really fun time. College, senior year, winning it all, going to the national tournament. That was amazing. Same thing, at Liberty. I'm fortunate enough I've won at each level and made it to the top, the end. I made it to the end of each season, winning a championship, doing that. And professionally, I haven't achieved much yet. I really haven't done much. But I got to play on the Champions League qualification, which is a super high level of basketball. And we played in Ukraine in front of like thousands of people. And if we would have made it, we would have played in Spain in the top league, and definitely would have got destroyed. But just being able to play internationally as a professional, that was amazing. As a rookie, that's really hard to do. But I got to travel to like 9 countries in like a span of 3-4 months. My first year as a pro, so that was awesome. Those definitely my highlights.
All right. Man, I just one of these days, man, it would be awesome to go over there and watch you play professional basketball, or who knows, one day watching you over here playing professional ball. But last thing for you, man, do you have any closing remarks, any closing words, anything that you just kind of want to say out there before we finish this podcast?
I just wanted to thank you, obviously, for your investment in me, and still telling my story. You talk about it all the time, and the times I came back and visited. At the time I did not like you at all, but and I told my dad, I look up to him. I looked up to Coach Herrera because he's straight up, and you helped me out a lot with many things, and I like what you're doing now with this Coach Mike on the mic little podcast. So I just thank you for having me and being able to hear me. It's been great.
Well, it's been a fun time for sure, man. It's crazy to think that you're over there in Sweden right now, and we're doing this podcast, and it's been a time for you, man. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Certainly keep in touch for sure. Let me know about your schedule and how I can watch you play. And again, thanks for being on this episode of Coach Mike on the Mic.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
All right, Keenan. We'll talk soon, bud. Take care.
All right. Peace.
All right, later. Thank you for listening to Coach Mike on the Mic, Let's Talk Hoops. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure you subscribe and click the notification button, and then share it with your friends. If you're so inclined to do so, would you please rate and review this podcast so that I can help grow this community of listeners? I hope there was something that you heard today that entertained you or connected you to the game of basketball. If you'd like to be a guest or know someone who would be a great guest on the show, please comment below or reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. Until the next time we meet, the ball is now in your court. Be someone's champion today.